Botesa Ngonga, also known as Botesa Ebang Ngonga Avomo, a former top public official in Equatorial Guinea and nephew of President Teodoro Obiang Nguema, has reportedly been sentenced to 18 years in prison in one of the country's most scandalous corruption cases to date. Prosecutors formally requested a total of 18 years, broken down into 8 years for embezzlement, 4 years and 5 months for illicit enrichment, and 6 years and 1 day for abuse of office. In addition to the prison time, he faces a financial penalty of over 910 million CFA francs, about $1.5 million, and has been barred from holding public office during his sentence. Botesa Ngonga's downfall began in 2024 when he was dismissed from his role as Director General of the National Agency for Financial Investigation (ANIF), the country's main anti-money laundering body. His removal followed allegations of professional misconduct and inappropriate social and family behavior, deemed incompatible with public office. The turning point in the investigation came when authorities seized his personal computer and discovered a massive trove of over 400 explicit sex videos involving him and multiple women, some of whom were reportedly wives and relatives of top government officials. Ngonga was arrested in September 2024 and has been held in Black Beach Prison ever since. His trial began in June 2025, drawing national and international attention. Prosecutors argued that during his tenure as head of the Directorate General of Insurance and Reinsurance, 2015 to 2020, Ngonga diverted more than 1 billion CFA francs of public funds through forged contracts, shell companies, and illicit insurance deals. The court reportedly accepted bank transfer records and testimony from witnesses as evidence of his unlawful enrichment. By early July 2025, social media accounts and several news outlets reported that he had been officially sentenced to 18 years. Instagram user ZimCelebs Official was among the first to post this information, followed by online news sources including Niger News, The Times, and AP News. While the Equatorial government has not yet issued a formal public statement confirming the sentence, the weight of evidence and court activity strongly supports the conclusion that a conviction has occurred. The scandal took a more sensational turn due to the sexual content found during the investigation. The 400-plus explicit videos became the center of a national firestorm when some of them leaked online. The footage, showing Ngonga engaging in sexual acts with various women, some of them married to or connected to elite officials, shocked the public and caused embarrassment at the highest levels of government. Public outrage led to further scrutiny of the political elite and prompted the government to issue new policies against misconduct in public office. Reports suggest that the sex tapes played a significant role in motivating the court to act swiftly and harshly, viewing the content as evidence not just of personal misconduct, but also of deep institutional rot. Rumors of assassination. As the case gained visibility, rumors began circulating on social media that Ngonga might be killed while in prison. These claims, however, remain unverified and are likely speculative. There are no credible reports indicating that his life is in immediate danger. Despite the notorious reputation of Black Beach Prison, especially during the dictatorship's earlier years, there is no current indication that Ngonga is being targeted for assassination. Given his family ties to the ruling elite, his imprisonment is likely intended to serve as a public example rather than as a prelude to a covert elimination. The political leadership is currently emphasizing an anti-corruption agenda and may see his case as an opportunity to demonstrate resolve and project international legitimacy. That said, concerns about internal political rivalries and the possibility of retribution from disgraced peers or humiliated officials cannot be completely dismissed. Botesa Ngonga's conviction comes during a broader push by Equatorial Guinea's leadership to clean up its image. Vice President Teodoro Obiang, the president's son, has publicly declared a zero-tolerance policy for corruption. Some analysts believe this move is more about power consolidation than genuine reform, especially given that family members of the ruling clan often benefit from legal immunity. Ngonga's fall from grace has also sparked debate about the future of governance in the oil-rich Central African nation. Many citizens see his sentence as long overdue justice for decades of elite corruption, while critics argue that scapegoating a single official does little to dismantle the deeply entrenched system of patronage and secrecy. Botesa Ngonga's 18-year prison sentence marks a dramatic turning point in Equatorial Guinea's internal politics and anti-corruption drive. Once a trusted insider and financial watchdog, he now sits behind bars, disgraced by evidence of embezzlement, sexual misconduct, and abuse of office. The scandal has deeply damaged the government's credibility but also provided an opportunity to signal reform. Whether this case marks a genuine shift in governance or is simply a politically convenient purge remains to be seen. For now, the rumors of his assassination are just that, rumors. What is clear is that the shadow cast by this case will linger over Equatorial Guinea's political landscape for years to come. Why Botesa Ngonga's wife remains absent from court. The corruption and sex scandal engulfing Botesa Ngonga Avomo, former Director General of the National Agency for Financial Investigation in Equatorial Guinea, has spiraled into one of the most explosive political and social sagas in the country's recent history. While public attention has fixated on Botesa himself, his 18-year prison sentence, the shocking release of over 400 explicit sex tapes, and the staggering amount of stolen public funds, a quieter, more mysterious figure has drawn increasing curiosity: his wife. Amid the frenzy of court proceedings, media coverage, and online gossip, one glaring detail stands out. Botesa Ngonga's wife has not appeared publicly in court to support, denounce, or even acknowledge her husband. Her continued absence has not only left a silence where many expected outrage, grief, or loyalty, but it has also spawned a whirlwind of speculation. Is she merely avoiding the media storm? Is she emotionally shattered? Or more sensationally, does she want her husband behind bars? The answer, it appears, is more complicated than a single narrative. To understand her absence is to explore the emotional, social, psychological, and even political dimensions of betrayal, shame, power, and gender in a high-profile Equatorial family scandal. A shock too severe to bear, collapse, humiliation, and media trauma. According to multiple eyewitness reports and regional news coverage, the moment Ngonga's wife discovered the breadth of her husband's infidelity was emotionally devastating. She was reportedly hospitalized after collapsing from shock upon viewing some of the leaked sex tapes. The tapes, allegedly over 400 in number, featured her husband engaging in explicit acts with multiple women, including wives and daughters of other prominent officials. Many of the acts were filmed without consent and saved on Botesa's personal laptop. This betrayal wasn't just marital, it was public, graphic, and permanent. Watching her husband's private affairs splashed across social media, with millions commenting, mocking, and dissecting every frame, would be a psychological blow for anyone. For the wife of a powerful political figure in a deeply patriarchal society, it became a public shaming on a scale rarely seen in the region. In the weeks that followed the leak, her behavior became increasingly guarded. Video footage shared by onlookers during one of the early court hearings showed her being physically shielded by security guards veiled in cloth and refusing to show her face to the cameras. Social media was flooded with posts asking, "Why is Botesa's wife hiding?" Others speculated that she may have been under emotional or even medical care due to the stress and humiliation she endured. Rumors of her own affair when victim becomes the accused. In a remarkable twist, shortly after the public humiliation of Botesa, rumors and alleged footage began to surface suggesting that his wife herself may have been involved in an extramarital affair. An online personality known as the Very Dark Man circulated what he claimed was leaked footage of Ngonga's wife in an intimate encounter with another man. Although many experts and commentators urged caution, pointing out that the identity of the woman in the video was never fully verified, the damage was done. In Equatorial Guinea's rigid social environment, especially within elite families, the mere accusation of infidelity by a woman is often met with greater outrage than any act of betrayal by a man. If these rumors were true, it would place her in a highly compromised social position. Her silence and absence from court could therefore reflect a conscious effort to protect herself from public humiliation or perhaps legal consequences. If untrue, the rumors still add to the emotional burden she carries, painting her not only as a betrayed wife but also as a target of political smearing. A marriage broken by power, not love. One of the more cynical but politically informed theories behind her absence is that this marriage, like many others within the political elite of Equatorial Guinea, was built not on love or companionship, but on power, alliances, and social image. Botesa Ngonga, as a high-ranking government official and nephew to the president, was part of the ruling class. His wife's marriage to him would have granted her social status, economic privilege, and political protection. Now, with Ngonga behind bars and disgraced on the international stage, that structure of power and safety may have collapsed. The same marriage that once protected her now implicates her by proximity. Appearing in court could be seen as endorsing him or, conversely, as turning against him, depending on the public's perception. For her, staying silent and absent might be a strategic move to maintain neutrality and avoid being dragged deeper into the chaos. Does she want him in prison? Whispers of revenge and cold anger. Perhaps the most provocative question being whispered in Equatorial households and online forums is, does she want him jailed? After years of alleged infidelity, emotional distance, and now the violent humiliation of being dragged through a global scandal, some suggest that Ngonga's wife may have chosen not to defend him in hopes of seeing him punished. There are rumors non-verified that she may have cooperated with authorities, possibly giving insight into his personal finances, secret accounts, or habits that supported the corruption charges. Her refusal to publicly denounce the charges, plead for leniency, or even express sympathy raises eyebrows. In a culture where spouses are often expected to stand by their partners regardless of scandal, her silence has become deafening and, to some, tactical. By not supporting him, she may be protecting herself or even enacting a quiet form of revenge. Gender, power, and the double standards of public humiliation. It's important to understand the gendered nature of this entire scandal. Botesa Ngonga's sex tapes may have ruined his career and earned him an 18-year prison sentence, but within many parts of Equatorial Guinea's social hierarchy, male infidelity is still often tolerated or dismissed. His wife, on the other hand, faced immediate shaming over alleged behavior. No court has tried her. No official evidence has surfaced proving any wrongdoing. Yet the way public opinion has turned on her shows a deeply ingrained misogyny in the political and social fabric of the nation. Even as a victim of one of the worst political betrayals in recent memory, she's been painted by some as complicit, immoral, or unworthy. That may be one reason she has chosen disappearance over defiance. In a world where powerful women are rarely permitted to speak for themselves without consequence, silence may be her only weapon. As Botesa Ngonga serves his 18-year sentence in the notorious Black Beach prison, his wife remains, quite literally, a ghost in the public narrative seen but never heard. Her absence from court has ignited speculation about her physical health, emotional condition, political intentions, and marital loyalties. The truth may never be fully known. She may be grieving. She may be plotting. She may simply be trying to survive the storm. What's certain is that her absence has become one of the defining subplots in a national drama that continues to unfold. And as Equatorial Guinea grapples with questions of corruption, morality, and justice, the silent wife of Botesa Ngonga reminds us of the high personal cost of public scandal and the quiet resilience required to endure it. The deadly whisper do powerful figures want Botesa Ngonga dead. Since the explosive revelation of Botesa Ngonga's secret sex tapes, many involving wives and daughters of prominent state officials, the whispers around him have grown from scandal to survival. It's no longer just about embezzlement, illicit enrichment, or abuse of office. Some are now asking, are powerful members within the ruling class calling for his death? Political humiliation as a breeder of vengeance. The sex tapes weren't merely personal betrayals, they were political acts that crept into the corridors of power. Ngonga, once the influential head of ANIF and nephew of President Obiang, was seen recording intimate encounters with the wives of ministers, his own relatives, and even the president's sister, all in context dripping with institutional trust, including his office and ministry. In a system built on secrecy and loyalty, such betrayal is deeply personal. The humiliation of these women and by extension their influential husbands and powerful clan members has inflamed rumors that some want retribution beyond legal punishment. Rumors fueled by power struggles and palace intrigue. Observers suggest the scandal was weaponized by factions within the ruling elite. Ngonga was potentially seen as a contender in the succession battles within the Obiang dynasty. His intimate betrayal may have fractured alliances, pushing some insiders to desire his permanent removal not just from office, but from life. Tales of revenge whispered in Malebo's elite circles suggest that those personally affected, especially husbands of cheated women, may hold personal vendettas. But such talk, often carried in hushed tones, lacks verified sources. Still, in a state known for extrajudicial power plays, the mere possibility stokes public fear. Black Beach Prison, a place where secrets live or die. Ngonga is held at Black Beach Prison, notorious for its harsh conditions and history of political detainees disappearing without explanation. The rumors that he could be quietly eliminated inside prison walls resonate with many who fear Equatorial Guinea's justice may serve vengeance rather than procedure. However, jailhouse threats remain unverified. No credible leaks or dissident testimonials confirm assassination plots inside Black Beach. The regime has signaled it prefers public convictions like the 18-year sentence for optics of an anti-corruption crackdown. Political signaling public trial versus secret execution. By publicly charging and sentencing Ngonga, the regime reinforces its zero-tolerance stance against corruption and misconduct. It also preserves plausible deniability. A quiet killing would risk backlash from international observers, human rights monitors, and investors scrutinizing Equatorial Guinea's record. Instead, authorities are installing surveillance cameras, suspending implicated officials, censoring social media, and enacting moral safeguards in ministries' actions that speak louder than rumors of retribution. Rumor is not fact, but fear thrives in silence. Despite wild rumors, there's no evidence from trustworthy sources, independent newspapers, activist groups, leaked testimonies, or defector accounts that Ngonga faces imminent danger in custody. All known developments point toward a legal process, however murky, in the public eye. Yet in the absence of transparency, rumor fills every void. In a society where power is absolute and brutality hidden, people often believe what cannot be disproven. The idea that someone who humiliated top wives might pay for it with his life holds terrifying emotional weight, even if the state prefers the optics of a trial, a specter of revenge in a sea of public evidence. The stakes for Botesa Ngonga are more than legal, they are existential. His crimes exposed intimate betrayals intertwined deeply with the personal and professional lives of Equatorial Guinea's elite. There are compelling whispers, wounded spouses seeking payback, political factions seizing the fallout, and an environment where death can be sudden and unsanctioned. But for now, only one path seems real: public justice, not private execution. The 18-year sentence stands as the official narrative. The rumors of revenge killings, while potent, belong to the shadows. Unless verified allegations emerge from insiders or investigative media, they remain part of the turbulent folklore surrounding one of the country's greatest political scandals. The missing millions: how Botesa Ngonga's empire of corruption unraveled in court. The trial of Botesa Ebang Ngonga Avomo, former Director General of Equatorial Guinea's National Agency for Financial Investigation (ANIF), has become a symbol of the deep rot at the heart of Equatorial Guinea's governance. But beyond the headlines of leaked sex tapes and public disgrace, the court proceedings revealed a darker truth. Botesa wasn't just a scandalous public figure, he was, according to prosecutors and forensic auditors, the mastermind of one of the most complex and concealed corruption operations in the country's modern history. When Botesa stood before the High Criminal Court in Malabo in mid-2025, the prosecution unveiled a devastating case built around three main charges: embezzlement of state funds, illicit enrichment, and abuse of power. But perhaps most shocking was the court's revelation that hundreds of millions of CFA francs had disappeared from state institutions under Botesa's watch through unidentifiable, untraceable, and unauthorized means, a systematic plunder of public funds. Between 2015 and 2020, Botesa Ngonga held the powerful role of Director General of the Directorate of Insurance and Reinsurance. While the department might sound bureaucratic, it held substantial control over public financial flows, particularly insurance contracts tied to government infrastructure, civil service, and state companies. The prosecution revealed that Botesa used this position to create ghost contracts, overstated policy fees, and non-existent claim settlements. Through shell companies registered in his name or the names of distant associates, he diverted state funds intended for insurance payouts into private bank accounts in foreign jurisdictions including Spain, Cyprus, and Dubai. Forensic accountants testified in court that more than 3.8 billion CFA francs over $6.2 million USD could not be accounted for, funds that were allocated but never reached their intended recipients. These funds vanished into offshore conduits, digital wallets, and third-party companies with no legitimate business operations. Unidentified money flows and banking red flags. Perhaps the most damning portion of the trial came during the court's review of Botesa's banking records. An independent audit conducted by the Regional Financial Intelligence Unit, in cooperation with the Central African Banking Commission (COBAC), discovered a string of transfers made from state-linked accounts into non-human recipients, meaning accounts registered under code names, anonymous corporations, or even accounts tied to fake individuals. A report presented in court documented how Botesa authorized over 92 illegal transactions, amounting to roughly 1.2 billion CFA francs, that could not be matched with any legitimate policyholder, government initiative, or service. Some transactions showed withdrawals from ghost pension schemes, non-existent accident claims, and fraudulent life insurance disbursements. In some cases, entire policies were created for people who had died years earlier, with the funds routed to Botesa-controlled banks. The presiding judge stated in his ruling that the financial trail shows clear signs of fraud, digital laundering, and intentional misrepresentation of public records, all under the accused authority. Fake companies, hidden partners, and private enrichment. During cross-examination, state prosecutors introduced documentation showing that Botesa held silent stakes in over 15 companies, many of which had received state contracts while he was in office. These companies had no physical offices and, in several cases, were registered to vacant plots or fake addresses. One company, Reassurex Holdings, was discovered to be billing the government for insurance coverage for rural development workers who didn't exist. The contract, signed by Ngonga himself, had transferred over 310 million CFA francs to a Reassurex account in Morocco. The court found that the company was completely fictitious, and the funds were used to purchase luxury estate in Casablanca and luxury watches from Swiss retailers. Prosecutors also presented photos of Botesa's undeclared mansion in Marbella, Spain, a luxury property purchased through a British Virgin Islands-based company. That villa, worth €2.8 million, was allegedly funded through laundered money siphoned from Equatorial Guinea's treasury. The ANIF betrayed the watchdog who stole from the safe. Perhaps the most hypocritical and shocking element of the trial was the fact that Botesa, until late 2024, headed ANIF, the agency specifically created to fight financial crime, money laundering, and terrorist financing. As Director General of ANIF, he had access to confidential transaction data, reports from suspicious activity, and whistleblower files. Instead of using that power to serve justice, he allegedly shielded his own transactions, blocked investigations into his associates, and used inside information to eliminate competitors and protect his financial schemes. According to testimony from former NIF staff, any case that came close to implicating Botesa or his inner circle was either buried, redirected, or permanently sealed. One anonymous former NIF analyst described it as, "He ran the House of Justice like a private bank. No one dared audit him. And if you asked the wrong questions, you disappeared." The court concluded that Ngonga not only violated his oath of service, but weaponized the very institution of anti-corruption against the public. Illegal bonuses and cash hoards, evidence of lavish abuse. During a raid of his residences and offices, investigators found multiple safes filled with physical cash in CFA francs, US dollars, euros, and even cryptocurrency USB wallets. One safe held the equivalent of 120 million CFA francs in cash, hidden behind a wall panel. Additionally, investigators found unauthorized bonus logs, where Ngonga had illegally granted himself and select staff members inflated allowances as much as 5 times the legal limit. The court also examined his travel history and discovered unaccounted luxury trips to Monaco, Dubai, and Paris, each funded through bank cards attached to state-funded accounts. In one case, a single weekend trip to Dubai cost the treasury over 25 million CFA francs, paid as insurance inspection costs. A pattern of corruption, not an isolated incident. After months of hearings, cross-examinations, forensic audits, and the presentation of digital evidence, the court ruled that Baltasar Ngonga had engaged in systemic, deliberate, and well-coordinated financial corruption over a span of at least 7 years. He was sentenced to 8 years for embezzlement, 4 years and 5 months for illicit enrichment, 6 years and 1 day for abuse of power, a fine of 910 million CFA francs, a full ban from ever holding public office, confiscation of identified assets in Equatorial Guinea, Spain, and Morocco. While the sentence stops short of life imprisonment, the ruling sends a clear message: no amount of political protection can shield those who loot the state from justice. Forever, a legacy built on sand. Baltasar Ngonga's legacy is one of shattered trust, stolen wealth, and institutional decay. The court did not simply convict a man, it exposed how the mechanisms of state accountability had been hijacked from the inside. Through deliberate manipulation of financial systems, falsification of records, and the abuse of his regulatory powers, Baltasar built an empire of wealth. But it was an empire built on sand. One wave of exposure was all it took to collapse the illusion. Today, Ngonga sits behind bars at Black Beach Prison. But the wounds he inflicted on the public treasury and the questions his case raises about others still in power remain unhealed.